All right. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and League of Legends players, lovers, enthusiasts. Welcome back. Golly gee willikers. It's been 2 weeks already. It's already been 2 mighty fine weeks, and I would like to say mighty fine, although it's not been mighty fine. It seems like reality mimics art, because League of Legends has gone down the shitter, and so has reality, because reality gets ever worse. But League of Legends is the progenitor of this. And what do I mean by this? We've had some time now since patch 13.10. And for those of you wise little guppies that saw my 13.10 patch note videos, which should be my thousands and thousands of loyal viewing fans, you'll remember that they changed up a lot because it was the mid-season patch, and specifically, they changed ADC. Now, I've played with the new ADC changes, I've played with the new static, I've played with a lot of the new ADs, and by new I mean, all the different types, crit, on hit, that's pretty much it, basically. And I've come to the conclusion that, as I've suspected, ADC is worse. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth as to why it's worse, because I made a whole YouTube video about this, but to put it to you this way, to basically just sum it up in the beginning here, essentially what they've done is they've further divided the ADC build path into you having to choose to do crit damage now. Now, if you want to build IE, you can't build other items you used to be able to build that were core to some people's kits. Take Jhin, for example. On Jhin, you always want to get Gale Force because it does a lot of damage, because it scales extremely well off of him because of his passive, and you want mobility because you're very immobile. But now you have to choose between being mobile or doing more damage with IE, which is a staple also of Jin's kit, because he does a lot of fucking damage, so you want to increase that as much as you can. And it's not vice versa, where it kind of makes up for it if he doesn't get it. You really do feel the difference in my eyes. But anyway, they've basically ruined crit ADCs from what I've seen and from the win rates that I'm looking up. So, yeah, they just further ruined ADCs. So I'm hoping this patch we see some buffs to some ADCs. And just to prove my point here, I'm going to get up the tier list. I usually don't bring in Google too often here, but I'm going to get in the tier list here, and I'm going to show the tier list on the screen. Ready? Watch this. This is where the ADCs are sitting, and I'm going to describe this a little bit here. So here in first, at the S+ tier, we have Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is good because Kog'Maw is on hit, and if Kog'Maw is good, it's going to get nerfed. They do not want Kog'Maw being first. Riot does not like that. Afterward is Jhin because he's abusing some of the items. Afterward is Draven because he's also abusing some of the items. These are two people that do massive amounts of damage. After that is Lucian, very early game oriented. You see Twitch here and you think, oh, crit ADs are good. No, this is on hit Twitch, so don't get it twisted. Zeri's completely almost busted again because her old build has returned. Her old hybrid bruiser build where you build Trinity Force, which, Riot absolutely hated, that's back. And then all the way down here, you have the crit ADCs, which are my favorite ADCs. Aphelios, Vayne, Kai'Sa, of all people, who they love giving skins to. Ezreal, another one they love giving skins to. Jinx, Samira, Caitlyn, Ashe, all crit ADCs, all in the shitter. So again, that's the proof. Hopefully, they fix ADC. So anyway, let's see what they're doing this patch. I don't expect it to be too big because we just got off the mid-season patch 2 weeks ago. So let's see what they're doing. You get a buff wisp, you get a buff wisp, you all get buff wisps. Did you all catch MSI? Actually, I didn't. I didn't even know what was going on. Huge congratulations to JDG for coming out on top. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Wow. Riding the esports wave, we also have a skin line to celebrate last year's World Champions, DRX, coming out this patch. And I haven't seen these yet, except for the Aatrox skin. And this is something I will give Riot credit for. Each year, I actually feel like they do improve the world skins. The world skins for a long time used to be just straight doo-doo garbage. But now they're actually really, really fucking good. So, kudos to them for making them good. With a special prestige skin for Aatrox to celebrate Hingen's dominating MVP performance. So, this is not really related to patch notes, but it is technically League of Legends news, so I will fit it into here again in the beginning before we get into the meat and potatoes of this patch. Apparently, right now, there's a lot of controversy going on within the League esports scene. I don't know if it's only NA, or I don't know if it's worldwide, but essentially what is happening is I believe League cut support for either the collegiate league or the academy league. I don't know which one specifically because I don't remember, nor do I really care. But it's crazy to think that, the billion-dollar company Riot Games is cutting their esports. I'm not too surprised by this because in the past they've cut from every department, but there's one department, and I've mentioned this before, that Riot Games will not touch. The skin department. They will never touch that because that is the main source of their revenue, and God knows it's not esports because esports is not profitable, at least without the sponsors. The sponsors make that thing stay afloat, but that's pretty much it. So essentially, League or Riot Games is essentially canceling, I think, either Collegiate or Academy, and a lot of players on the player side, on the people side, are actually boycotting this. They're not participating in matches. They're choosing to just not play in a pro play anymore. And this is crazy to think about because I've never seen something this big and this unified. And the issue is Riot actually fought back against this too. They used to have a ranked requirement for you to be able to play in the pro leagues. They actually took that out, and now you can be iron and still be playing in pro league. And why did they do this? They did this so the teams can fill the roster with anyone they need to, so they can keep the games going. Because if they don't keep the games going, they lose their money from the sponsorships. So, I mean, at that point, the viewership is going to drop extremely if you don't have well-known players playing in the fucking pro league. If you have, little Jimmy Long Johns here, who's like Iron 4 Master Yi main jungle, and he's playing in pro play, who the fuck is going to want to watch that aside from the first game to laugh at him? So Riot is also fighting back against the players. The players are fighting back against Riot. It's actually really crazy. And the ironic part is, a lot of people have wanted the ranked restriction lifted for a long time. And Riot lifts it at the most unopportune time for the players as a way to weaponize it, as a way to attack them. So there's a lot of drama going on in the league scene. I'm not going to really cover it. I just heard about it here and there on TikTok, ironically enough. And I wanted to spread awareness about it that, Riot, even though they're very not good at balancing, they've been good at other things with the community, but this is not one of them. And I want to spread awareness to that. But anyway, yeah, so a lot of trouble in the pro scene apparently, which hopefully won't affect the balance too much. If anything, it hopefully will help it and steer balance more towards casual, more towards the common people like us. Well, not me because I'm a god, but more towards the common people and me. But anyway, that's what's happening in the Pro League. So, in other news, we also have some exciting changes coming this week, like Rel'S mid-scope update. Oh, we're going to see if this is a real mid-scope update or not. Because I've heard a little bit of the changes they're doing, and I don't think they're good at all. Universal buff sharing for Wait, what? Huh? Universal buff sharing for junglers? Some nerfs for... Wait a minute. Some nerfs for Aphelios and Jinx? Huh? Are they dumb? Are they dumb, stupid, or dumb? Because I'm a little confused here. I'm a little confused here. But anyway. Interesting. And a few follow-up changes to the mid-season update that came out in 13.10. So already we're not starting off on the right foot, but let's see this. So the skins we're going to look at after, again, I only know the Aatrox one, and I barely know it, but just from the little splash arts I can kind of peek at here, I'm very, very excited about this. I'm very excited about this. So anyway, Rel. Okay, we're starting off big. Rel's mid-scope update. So, all abilities except her ultimate adjusted. So her ultimate is not adjusted, which honestly, that's honestly fine. I mean, I wish they gave it a little bit of the Nico treatment. I think they did really, really fucking good with Nico's ult. The only thing they kind of messed up on was the number scaling, but in terms of functionality, they really did help Nico out with her new ultimate, how it knocks them up at first. It gets them ready for it. So I actually think that's really good. And hopefully, I don't think Rel necessarily needs that much, but I hope they give her something. So let's see what they're doing. We think Rel's fantasy of being a mounted lancer on horseback, Hecarim, who transforms into heavy infantry by literally metal bending her horse into armor, is compelling and exciting. I think it is too, and I think they could go really crazy with a lot of the skins. I just feel really sad that she's a support because that would be really cool as like a top lane bruiser. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. But unfortunately, she hasn't fully lived up to that fantasy. Yeah, she doesn't really feel tanky in her like unmounted form. She just feels like a slow moving like rock, and not like a tanky rock either. In a dev blog back in March, we outlined the following goals. Lean into the mounted, dismounted fantasy. Let Rel feel fast, like she can charge enemies down while mounted, and let her feel like a formidable fighter while dismounted. I don't know what they mean by fighter, but let's see. Increase play variance. Give Rel more options in lane and team fights besides landing W. And make sure while she's dismounted, there are useful things she could do. So that's pretty much, I think, one of the crux of Rel's weaknesses. You only want to be dismounted to engage, and if you miss your W, you're kind of just useless. Aside from your ult, right? Your ult is the saving grace, but they want to make her useful off of her mount, which I honestly don't know how they're going to do. The only reason you're off your mount is to get back on your mount. Like, that's honestly it. But anyway, and the only reason other than, you know, to get back on your mount is you're going in, and now you're off your mount because you went in. But anyway, send off some quality of life issues. We've heard your feedback on some of the more frustrating parts of Rel's kit, so we want to help alleviate some of those. We want to smooth things out, like poor ward clearing. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Not being able to use E while alone, and Q having reduced power on subsequent enemies, which didn't make any sense. Rel does not do damage. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. Rel's new E should provide the giddy up she needs to charge down her enemies and proactively start fights. And extra range and attack speed while dismounted let her participate more in the fight. Adding a stun to her Q, oh my god, will give her a more varied combat pattern that's not just looking for engages. She can now fish with Q and follow up with her W if she lands it. Oh wow. And finally, we've given her a normal attack speed and removed the cap on how fast she can go while dismounted. That's insane. Okay, cool. So, base stats, I don't really care, except the move speed went down by 5, but I'm assuming that's going to come back in the mounted form. So anyway, her passive, Break the Mold, it's getting buffed by 1 second. So now it shreds a lot less, and I'm talking about a lot less, like 75% less. Armor and magic resist shred now stacks up to 5 times. So you're actually getting buffed if you fully stack it. You're actually shredding for more than you were before. All of Rel's abilities will apply a stack of her passive. Minimum armor and MR steel is 5 to 12. Okay, cool. So Rel is actually getting buffed, but she has to actually be in the fight, which is good. Rel keeps resist for the full duration of the passive buff, even if the target dies. The fact that that wasn't like there before is kind of dumb. But anyway, passive no longer deals bonus magic damage on hit. That's honestly fine. Hitting a new target no longer refreshes the passive duration on all targets. That's fair. And passive no longer applies to minions. That's sad. Anyway, let's see the Q. So Q now stuns every target hit for almost a second. That's really good. Q no longer heals Rel or her allies, which honestly I don't know why it did to begin with, and the heal was Wiener anyway, so that's fine. So now the range is a little bit adjusted, but it seems like it's around the same. The cooldown is going up because now it has CC on it, so that makes sense. And the damage is going down. Holy moly. And then the cast time is going up too. So you can actually jungle with Rel now based on these changes, which I don't recommend. But now you can do more damage to the jungle. And when Rel casts Q, she moves 100 units forward as she takes a step to swing. I actually really like that. That's a really cool like quality of life thing. Or not even quality of life, just like lore consistency thing. So on old Rel, Q did reduce damage to enemies after the first, and only applied passive to the first enemy hit. Now it does full damage and applies passive to all enemies hit. So Rel could get really fucking tanky in team fights, you know, theoretically. If she hits everyone with her Q and she steals a stack of armor and MR from them, that's big. That's really big. I don't know if that counts towards her 5 stacks from each individual person, or each individual person can get stolen from 5 times. If the second one is the case, Rel is going to be a giga fucking in the fight tank. I actually really like this. Okay, anyway. So, dismounted bonus attack speed is going up. You're getting just free attack speed for being dismounted. That's cool. You also get bonus range because you have a literal fucking gigantic poke stick, which is good. Dismounted bonus armor NMRs to 12%. So overall, Rel is just really fucking tanky now. So now your move speed is reduced by 15%. So it's actually better late game, worse early game, but that's fine. Rel no longer has a movement speed cap while dismounted. I never played Rel. I didn't even know this existed, but it's good that it's off now. So basically, this mid-scope update is just, hey, we're massive buffing Rel aside from just number changes. We're actually giving her stuff on her kit. And honestly, it seems really fucking good. Holy shit. So the magic damage is going down. That's fine. She's not meant to do damage. The shield value is going down, but that's okay. So there's a maximum slide distance, which is going down. AoE radius is down. Jump range is down. So her engage is harder, but I guess the whole reason for that is because they're assuming you're going to land Q and start engages that way, which is thing. And then it now does more damage to jungle. Okay, cool. And then the W. So Rel no longer gains bonus passive move speed while mounted. That's sad. But you get initial move speed, which is 30% that rapidly decays over 1 second. That's kind of ass. I don't like rapidly decaying ones. I actually think the previous W was a bit better. But anyway. So, her E, the last ability, passive. Mounted Alacrity. Rel gains move speed while mounted at levels 1 to 13, reduced by 50% in combat. So actually, this is just an overall buff. Holy shit, what the hell? Rel and an ally charge. So gaining ramping move speed up to 25% over 3 seconds. This is doubled to 50% towards enemies or each other. Additionally, Rel's next attack or shattering strike explodes in an area. Wait, so can she still stun with this, or did they take the stun off the E? I think they took the stun off the E, but it doesn't say that they took it off. So there's two things I'm seeing with this. Number one, if Rel still maintains the stun with the active, plus this as well, plus the move speed, this is actually insane. Rel might actually be like really fucking good now. This is wild. Yeah, God forbid they do this to an ADC, by the way. But holy shit, Rel's not mid-season update. Rel's mini rework, is actually fucking crazy. I'm actually really excited to see this when I decide to punish myself and play ADC, because God, that role's terrible. But hey, I mean, this might help Samira, which, as we saw by the tier list, which I will get right now for us, again, just to prove things, Samira is the 21st out of 25th worst of the ADs. So, she's pretty bad. But Rel is one of the best supports with Samira, as is Nautilus, as is Leo. But Rel is definitely up there. So, Rel buffs hopefully equate to Samira buffs as well. This is pretty good. I'm very, very happy with Rel's rework. Hopefully this encourages people to not go mage in the bot lane and actually go Rel. Alright, anyway, Akali. What do I think of Akali? I think Akali has been nerfed so much she's kind of in the shitter. Her magic damage is going up. Base damage is going up. Cool. So they're just buffing her slightly because they don't want her to be so fucking crazy like she always is. Amumu. So basically Amumu's in a cycle, right? Amumu right now is in a cycle of he's good, so they nerf him. He's bad, so they buff him, because for some reason they always want him used. I don't know why. But I think right now we're kind of in the Amumu villain arc where they're just going to keep nerfing him. I still think unless they hit the main things of his kit, aka his Q or his R, because Z, let's be honest, doesn't matter. W, I guess, matters a little bit, but not really. Amumu is basically just a Q and R bot, so unless they touch those, the nerfs don't really matter unless he's going to be next to nothing. So let's see what they're doing. Amumu might be lonely in lore, but he hasn't been left out of patch notes. Our 13.9 buffs went a little bit overboard, specifically on the power of his early clearing and skirmishing. So his W is going down from 10 to 7. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. Cool. And that's base damage too, so that's not too bad. That's literally just effective. Okay. Now we're up to the big boys. Aphelios. And I already see who's next, and I'm upset. I'm gonna get very upset, I think, by this whole patch. Oh my good lord. Even though it started off strong, I don't think we're gonna like see good things. I don't think we're gonna rate this good things because ADCs are gonna get fucked. But anyway, what are they doing with the Aphelios? As we saw, which I will bring up again right here on the tier list, Aphelios is a little bit better than Samira, but still the 20th worst ADC in the game out of 25. That's pretty fucking bad. That is not good. So, what are they doing to Aphelios? They already said they're nerfing him, but why? Since Aphelios typically likes to spec into AD early, he's able to leverage the extra damage to dominate early laning phase. I don't even know how that's possible, which feels a little odd considering he's more of the scaling silent type, which is very true. Aphelios scales like a fucking animal. But I think they made his early game too weak, and to hear like it's finally not weak, and we saw the win rate, so I don't know what they're talking about. I think they're smoking hot penises, so I don't know why they're doing this. But anyway, this should help make laning against him a bit easier for opponents. So, his passive, which gives him free damage, is going down by 0.5. 0.5 each level. Honestly, this is fine. This is completely fine. And before I say that, and then they changed Jin's like 1 AD and we actually felt it. But anyway. Sorry, not 1 AD. It was like 5 AD. What they always change. But anyway. On to Asol. If I had to guess anything with Asol, he's probably going to get nerfed. I will be shocked and honestly very excited if he's going to get buffed. But if he gets buffed, this patch is not as bad as I thought. But he's most likely going to get nerfed because he's so fun and he's so good. I just really, really hope they don't touch the ease cooldown. The ease cooldown is already like really bad. And that's the main bread and butter of how he scales and everything. If they don't touch his stacking, I'm happy. But they're going to nerf him, so I'm sad either way. So anyway, let's see what they're doing. E mana cost increased, magic damage AP ratio decreased. Okay, that's honestly fine. I was actually shocked to find out how much the E damage actually does. I was like, okay, this is more of an inconvenience, and it does like a little bit of tickle damage, but it's actually not too ticklish. It's not like you're a tickle me Elmo. So it's actually not too negligible, and I was shocked by that. So to see that they're nerfing just this, I honestly think it's fine. And what's their reasoning? Mages as a whole got a small power increase from the changes in patch 13.10, aka the buffs Rabadons. Including the already powerful ones, our friendly Space Dragon was already sitting above the stars. And I hope he stays there. So we have a few changes to bring him down to earth. We're making his singularity cost more in the early laning phase to help his opponents delay his farming. And I'll be honest, this is where I'm kind of on the fence about this, because Asol early can't fight you. He needs to farm. Like, he can fight you if you're stupid, right? But then you could do that with anyone. But a good Asol versus a good opponent, he basically is just farming early. And with all the changes they did to mid, you're heavily not encouraged to roam, which is what Asol loved to do, at least in the olden days. Way more than he does now, even though now it's still pretty good. But they're already, like, taking away, like, the roaming aspect of his character, which, you know, was very heavy before. But now they're hitting his farming, which I don't know. So how about are they nerfing it? 60 to 80. That's not negligible. That is something you will feel. Then the magic damage per tick is going to slightly less AP scaling. Honestly, I think this is fine. I keep saying the same thing over and over again for Asol. I say, okay, these changes are okay. Just don't touch him again. But they're touching him in such like wiener tickling ways that I think it's honestly fine. Just please don't touch him again, right? He's still so fun. Azir! So, what do I think of Azir? I think they very heavily pushed for him to max W. And for him to rush maxing W. And no one plays it here. At least that not from I've seen, and I don't watch pro play, so maybe he is played, I don't know. But in terms of regular play, this guy is not played, he needs to be buffed. Let's see. Azir's skill bracket skew has flattened significantly, and he isn't seeing any pro play, which means there's some room for smaller buffs. Oh shit. This time around, we're aiming for changes that have been specifically requested by live Azir players. Wow! Isn't that a foreign concept? Asking the players who play him what they think. You know, they actually used to do that a lot more. I don't know if Riot still does it, but they used to be very vocal about it. And not they used to be vocal about it. The people who they interviewed and like asked questions to were vocal about it. Prime example, Anibot. They came to Annibot to ask if Annie needed to be nerfed and like what he thought, and he said absolutely she needs to be nerfed. Yo, hands off to my boy Jared Annibot, man. Even though he doesn't know me, and I doubt he ever will, it takes a real man to say, yeah, your champion's OP, nerf it. Kudos to him. But anyway, they're buffing his ears. So, the cooldown of his Q is going from 14 to 12 early. That might cause people to still continue to max Q, which, you know, Riot doesn't like, but oh well. If you can't beat him, join him. And then the summon range of the soldiers is going slightly up, probably because in the last time they touched the soldiers, they fixed, quote unquote, as with all their bug fixes, they nerfed the range of the sand soldiers to where you can't auto outside of the range, but if you auto something in the range, the auto can hit something outside of the range too. It's a little confusing, but if you play Azir, you know what I mean. And they're just kind of adding a little bit more range, so it probably just feels like more quality of life, which is good. And then on the AP scaling side, they're scaling a little bit harder, which is good. Cool, Azir is slightly better. I don't think it's going to be used, but whatever. Oh, golly gee willikers, what to say about this? What to say about the Vern? So, I made a reaction video with Hunty about the Vern and about what they were going to do to him, which they decided not to, which I have mixed opinions about. I think they should have just went through with the changes. A lot of Ivern mains disagree with me, so like 5 people disagree with me. But it is what it is. So let's see what they're doing, but this is going to be a big read, holy moly. So, Q follow-up adjusted. Fun fact, Ivern's Q is still bugged. Ivern used to be melee. He used to be considered melee range. Now he's considered ranged, right? Just fully ranged. And his Q is supposed to bring you within auto attack range, right? It's supposed to put you right at the edge, right at your max range for autoing the enemy. For ADCs, it does this perfectly. For melees, it does this perfectly. But for Ivern, even though they changed him to range, I don't think they remembered to code it in the game. So every time you Q someone, instead of going at your max auto range, you're just right on top of them because it's assuming you're still melee, which is hilarious. Anyway, let's see what they're doing. So, cast range increased on his Q. That's really good. Narafund's cooldown when used on non-epic monsters. That's really good. W adjusted. See, this is like another mid-scope update for fucking Ivern. W adjusted now gives allies bonus on hit damage. Vision from spawn duration increased. And brush despawn conditions changed. So now the E, which is arguably one of the best things in its kit. The E shield now refreshes if no enemies were hit by the... What? So if you don't hit anyone with the E explosion, the shield just comes back? Wow. So let's read this. With buff sharing becoming a part of the game this patch, which is insane by the way, we wanted to offer Ivan some buffs with the rest of his kit in exchange for removing his unique mechanic. Overall, these changes shouldn't be too transformative, but his base spell should feel better in almost every situation. Ivan's Q will be able to reach between most camps on both sides of the map, and Daisy should feel a lot more responsive. So, if you go through the changes list, you'll quickly realize that this isn't the mid-scope we promised, which, you know, it's honestly fine. Again, I don't think they care about upsetting 5 people. But the reason we decided to not give Ivan a mid-scope this patch, even though it kind of looks like they did, is because player feedback around our proposed mid-scope was indicating we were on the wrong track. See, again, right? I gotta give Riot kudos when they deserve it. They've been listening to the community a bit more. Not too much, but a bit more. Anyway. And internally, we didn't just feel like the designs were hitting the quality bar to ship. So for now, we're offering Ivan some buffs that will help him become a healthier tree for Lilia to piss on. So, what are they doing? His Q. Ivan can now recast Q to jump directly to the target, but they probably didn't fix that he's ranged now. So let's see. Ivan and allies can issue an attack command to move to auto-attack target's range distance away from the target. So, the cast range is getting increased by 50, and the cooldown is now reduced by half if you use it on a regular monster, which is cool. So, redefining the Death Bush. So, Rushmaker's passive bonus magic damage on hit when exiting the bush for 3 seconds now applies to everyone, not just you, which pushes him more into the supportive role, at least even not even just as a support, but also as a jungler. Ivern is one of the game's only, I would say, purely support jungler, and he's very unique. There's junglers that are very unique, like not Cos. What am I saying? Kindred, Ivern, maybe say Belveth too, but I'm gonna hold off on that one. But they're very unique, and Ivern's whole role, it's similar to Kindred, right? Kindred is the ADC of the jungle, Ivern is the support of the jungle. So them leaning more heavily into that, even if you're not going to take him support, this is still a buff to him, honestly. I hope people don't take him support for this, but honestly, fuck it. So he gives his allies 3 seconds of on hit, which is pretty cool. The on hit is kind of ass, which is fine. And then the vision duration of the bush is going from 3 to 8 seconds, which is huge. And the bush duration is getting increased as well to 45 seconds, or until your team has no vision, which is fine. So auto attacks empowered with Brushmaker and have a special visual effect to reflect the on-hit damage. I thought this already was in the game, though. I thought whenever it was ranged, he like threw like boogers at you. So I'm a little confused, but fuck it. So Trigger Seed, this is actually a really big change. When the shield detonates, there are no enemies that are hit by the detonation. The duration of the shield is renewed. So I wonder if this is infinite, like... There's no way it's infinite. It probably has to be only once. I think only once can you refresh the shield. Because if that's the case, and you don't do it only once, you can literally stack a shield on everyone on the team. And that's fucking broken. Honestly, I want changes like that. I want the changes they did to Rel, but a little bit more extreme, and do it for Ivern too. Do it for every champion that sucks major hard cock. Because my whole mentality with patching and everything is... they need to have their time in the sun at one point or another. When is Ivern going to have it? God knows when, but this is definitely a step in the right direction, and who knows. But anyway, is the damage on the R that's changing anything significant? So Daisy's attack range is going up, which is good. She now actually regens her fucking HP, which is wild. She has more move speed. She has more attack speed. She has bonus attack speed that's slightly lower, but that's fine. And then the slam now does less damage? Oh, no. It actually does more because it does 100% of her AD. Oh my god. Okay, so Ivern is pretty okay. So now, I mean, one of the main reasons... well, I say a main reason, but I don't think it was a main one. I would say one of the gimmicks behind Ivern was he shared buffs, right? But that's going away, so... the really thing that only makes him niche is his playstyle now of just being a full support in the jungle. So, Ivern definitely a bit better. Oh my god. Oh my sweet god, what are they doing? As you can tell, I'm pretty tired from work today. It sucked my soul. But anyway, what are they doing to my girl? I hope it's not a nerf, because I'll bring it up again. I will bring up the tier list again. Look at where Jinx is. Where she is. Almost near the fucking bottom. Almost. But it's very sad. It's very sad that this is what they're going to do to my girl. But anyway, what are they doing? So, Jinx has been getting away with strong laning phase despite her identity being a scaling marksman, which I don't agree with at all. I feel like her laning phase is weak. We're reverting her attack speed growth introduced patch 13.5 to help her rocket DPS. I mean, to be honest... see, this is a little hard. Jinx does do damage with her rocket, especially in team fights, but I'm trying to think. Does she do more in lane or like single targeting or with rockets? Honestly, I don't know. I would say maybe more with the rockets, but either way, Jinx is slightly nerfed, so it is what it is. It's sad, but it is what it is. Alright, Callista, it looks like we have another mid-scope update here according to Riot with how much writing is here. So what did they do? Callista's auto attacks are feeling weak at the moment due to the 90% total AD ratio and missing duration vision loss. Or missing during vision loss. That's actually a not well-kept secret, but it's a well-forgotten like thing with Callista. If they go into a bush and you don't have vision, the spirit literally just doesn't go in them. Which I don't know why that's the case, because in the future when Aesol had his stars, they made all the stars appear in the bush you were hiding in so you couldn't hide in a bush. But oh, now you're telling me Callista, like, can't have some of like her AD back? Come on, it's so stupid. What are they doing? Her base health is up. I mean, that's okay. That's appreciated, but it's whatever. Her AD is up. Oh no, her AD is down. Oh wow, and her attack damage growth is going down too. Honestly, I'm okay with this because some people actually do a lot of damage with Callisto. Meanwhile, she should be really killing everyone with Ren. That's her whole fantasy. Her whole fantasy is I'm gonna put 100 spears in you and then rip them out all at once. You know what's ironic too? When Callista came out, I was begging Riot to make an infinite scaling ADC champ, and look what they did. They brought out Callista, which technically isn't infinite scaling, but has infinite something in her kit, which is the spear. So I actually really like that. But anyway, let's see what they're doing to her passive. Callista's basic attacks no longer miss if a target leaves vision, and now her damage delta is going from 90 back to 100. And then the E. Okay, if they don't nerf the E, I'm going to be shocked. Okay, and the E is getting buffed. Wow. And then its scaling is going up by 105%. That is actually insane. Oh, no, that's the Q. What am I saying? Okay, so the Q is going to poke a little bit harder. What are they doing to the E? So the E cooldown is going down to 8 at all ranks. Thank God, that's going to make her feel a lot better. And then the physical damage per stack is going up. Oh, shit. And it has an AP scaling now. Wow. We might actually see AP Callista hybrid Nashor's Tooth, freaking Jinso's nonsense. Unans. God, I can only imagine. What is Fortnite becoming, man? This is so sick. But anyway, how much is she getting per stack? So the per extra stack is, god damn, it doesn't say it too often. I mean, I'll be honest, like, this is fine. Callista's just kind of buffed. I don't know if it's enough though. I mean, buffing the Q is fine, but I don't think Callista's main issue or identity revolves around the Q. The Q is a very high big tool for a lot of pro players to like get cheeky Rens in. But aside from using it at only like the highest level of play, which I can do too, by the way, I think there's like no reason to buff Q here too much. But it is what it is. She's slightly better. Wreck Girl, Wreck Queen. So I haven't seen this champion. I'm pretty sure she is massively popular in pro, if at all. But in terms of regular play, only Adrian plays this stupid bitch. Anyway, passive fuck, goddammit. Passive refresh rate increased, heal increased, which is weird. Q on the unburrowed cooldown now decreases with rank, buff duration decreased. Thing. Attacks refresh buff duration, and buff no longer ends prematurely when underground. Interesting. So, Rek'Sai was one of the non-assassin champions that was bound to the old Prowler's Claw and took a big hit in power. See, that's more of just her kit synergizes so well with it. Not because, I mean, you know, even though it was a really good item, I don't think it was good on Rek'Sai because Rek'Sai's potentially that good, even though her kit did synergize with it. I think it's just that good because it allowed Rek'Sai to just hop on people. Oh, nah. Nichta. Alright, cool. And because we're doing this early, I have to say goodnight to my grandparents. Anyway. So, they nerfed Prowler's Claw, which means Rek'Sai probably got indirectly nerfed. So they're probably going to buff her. We're taking this opportunity to shift Rek'Sai away from an Assassin Burst build, which her kit was never really made to support. Yeah, honestly, they tried their hardest to make her an Assassin by giving her a TP as an ultimate, by the way, to finally making her an assassin, to finally realizing, okay, she's not an assassin, she's basically a bruiser. So, move her strength towards a more durable fighter. Say, with a chunkier passive heal and better feeling auto. So Rek'Sai, to me, even though like lore-wise she is still an assassin, because she's literally like the great white shark of the Shuriman Desert, in-game, she is definitely not an assassin. Or if she is, she's only going to kill the AD, which anyone could do anyway. In game, I imagine her more like she's just gonna scrap you. She's just gonna fight with you, scrap you, and honestly, I think they should just give Rek'Sai like a rework. Like they could do so many things with her kit if she just like a beater. Like she just grabs you and beats the shit out of you. Rather than like assassinate you and like bite your head off. But it is what it is. Okay, so we're including a few small quality of life buffs as that should make playing the queen feel a bit more royal. Whenever I hear queen, I think of Junker Queen now. Anyway, what are they doing? So, Tremor Sense refresh rate is 1 second. That's actually a pretty big change. It might not seem big, but it's actually pretty big. Now you can like know where people are more often when you're underground, which is good. And you don't need wards to see over walls. Crazy. So, Heal with Maximum Fury is now going to go up Nah, cool. Nah. Alright, anyway. So, her maximum health is going up from the heal. So the heal is scaling on her max health now, which makes sense because she's now building Bruiser. So her passive is basically going up. So the Q. A little fun fact about Rek'Sai's Q, which not many people know about because you would have thought she was an ADC with how fast they nerfed this. Rek'Sai's Q used to scale off AP, and it had a 1-to-1 AP scaling, and the cooldown of Rek'Sai's Q was like 2 seconds. So on release, once people figured this out, all people did was stay burrowed as Rek'Sai the whole game and shoot out Q missiles at you that would chunk you every 2 seconds. It was almost as bad as AP Kai'Sa. It wasn't nearly as bad, but it was almost as bad. And it was really annoying, but they took it out really quickly. Anyway, what are they doing? The cooldown is 4 seconds. Now it's back to 2. Oh my god. The buff duration... Oh, so this is the unburned one. I thought this was the underground one. God damn it. Anyway. The buff duration is going down to 3 seconds, and now the basic attacks now refresh the buff duration of Queen's Wrath. So overall, you can actually have more time up with the buff than before. Before it'd be just straight 5 seconds. Now it could technically be extended to 9. I don't know why you would do that unless you're getting chain CC'd. But hey, now you can do it. Q's buff no longer ends prematurely if Rek'Sai is burrowed for more than 1.5 seconds. Cool. So her Q in the burrowed form now reveals you for way longer, which honestly is fine. That's a nice little quality of life change. And now her W unburrow. So targeted range increased to match untargeted range. This will mean that the optimization where it was better to line Rek'Sai up to the edge of your knock-up, press W at the perfect time instead of just clicking the opponent, has been removed. Oh. Okay, so I guess you could knock them up easier now. So honestly, looking at all these holistically, I don't think Rek'Sai is honestly still that good. I think she's still pretty bad. I still think she's pretty bad, everything else considered, because Prowler's Claw worked extremely well with her. Like, I'm talking extremely well. So, the fact that they're, like, buffing her when she gets on you, but not really with damage, it's kind of like, okay, but you still have to get on them, and that was Rek'Sai's whole issue. Her whole issue was, can she get on you? She didn't necessarily need more power once she got on you, which she kind of got, but not really. This is a weird-ass buff. Honestly, the best buff here, I think, is the passive. But everything else, and maybe the W, but the Q is just kind of like, it's not really needed, I don't think. But it's what it is. I think Rek'Sai is going to be the same, so it is what it is. Renekton. I think Renekton is probably pretty weak, and that is intentional, because if he's weak, no one plays him. If he's strong, he is abused. And I know for a while he was rampant in pro scene, so they beat his ass down, which again affects normal game. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna buff him because he's so weak. I'm not scared of Renekton. I'm honestly not. Aside from maybe the first 3 to 5 levels, after that I don't give a shit. Let's see what they're doing. Renekton has been a bit weak in solo queue. That is true, feeling more like a plush than a terrifying butcher. They're looking to decrease his E cooldown to bring the timing a bit closer to his other abilities. This will give Renekton more opportunities to engage, escape, and will make losing the Prowler's Claw active not feel so bad. We're also looking to increase both the power and uptime of his ultimate. See, this is something where it's a little easier to get on your enemies. So even though it's only 2 seconds shaved off the cooldown, it's still more in line with, like, okay, his main thing with Prowler's Claw was he wants to get on you. And now they took that away. So they made up for it with a movement ability. What the fuck did they do with Rek'Sai aside from the W? I don't count the W as really massively changing in terms of how you engage on people. Even though it might be, I don't know the full bit, but Renekton's is way better of a buff than Rek'Sai's was. And then Renekton's ult, Dominus. So, ironically enough, Renekton's ult, Dominus, is way better early than Nasus. So Nasus and Renekton kind of have very similar ults. Nasus and Renekton both basically increase their cock size with Viagra, let's say, and they both become ginormous. Now, Nasus's ult scales off max HP, so it's better the later the game you go. Renekton's ult is just base damage, which means it's better early. But as the game goes on, it's not good, which is the whole, brother rivalry. So the fact that I think Renekton's ult, aside from, it's not doing as much damage as Nasus, I believe it gives him more health. But aside from that, I mean, it also gives him rage, but, that's kind of... I'm taking that as separate. They're not going to ever take away that, I don't think. Hope. Or maybe they took it out and I don't know. But anyway, essentially, Renekton's ult is only good in the late game, and as you go later and later, it doesn't make sense for it to be such a long cooldown because it essentially gives you nothing. So they're finally making it to be scaling and giving an 80-second cooldown, which honestly, with the team fights that happen late game, I think this is long overdue. I think this is long overdue. And they're buffing the damage a little bit. Again, nothing crazy, but it is a buff. It is a buff. 75 to 90, and that's nothing to scoff at either. So Renekton is definitely slightly better. I like it. Alright, Twisted Fate, the magnificent twisted penis. What do I think of TF? As Faker says, there's a couple champions that I think baseline people should just learn because it helps them learn core mechanics of the game. Twisted Fate is one of those people. I feel like Twisted Fate has kind of lost his footing, though. I feel like there's so many more people that have come out that he just kind of gets outruled, and he's so plain and regular. Again, he's your standard champion. He's going to teach you the basics. He's very basic, but, who the fuck wants that in League of Legends now after it's been how many years? So, I think TF has fallen a little bit behind. I could see him getting a buff here, personally. Let's see. Twisted Fate's been drawing quite a few of the wrong cards recently, and he could use the odds being a little more in his favor. Lowering the cooldown of his W should give him, oh my god, should give him more opportunities to draw what he needs and put more pressure on his opponent. So it's going from 8 to 6 early. Honestly, this matters. 2 seconds, 8 to 6 matters, especially in a gank. You could get probably 2 yellow cards off. Right, last, if it's not done instantly. Honestly, this is a pretty big TF change. It's one simple thing, but it's the whole crux of his kit. The W is like the whole crux of his kit. Without the W, TF would be fucking used. So not bad. Pretty nice TF buff. Okay. Ardent. I don't think Ardent is good because crit ADCs are not good. Actually, no, sorry. Opposite. I said it wrong. I think Ardent is good because on-hit ADCs are good. I mean, again, if Kog'Maw is number 1, then Ardent has to be good. Let's see what they're doing. Ardent Sensor is currently the highest win rate second item purchase for Enchanter supports, which goes against our goals of promoting support item diversity. And I guarantee you Riot's going to say the same thing when they get to ADs. They want to promote ADC diversity, so they want more mages in the bot lane. They're so stupid. We're turning down some of the numbers to keep it in line with Staff of Flowing Cock, which I think is such a stupid item, and to avoid one becoming clearly better than the other. I think Ardent is way better than Staff the Flowing Cock, personally. So, bonus attack speed is just going to 20%. It's more of a nerf than it is a buff, but, we'll take it. We'll take what we can get. Like, I play AD anyway. So, next, Duskblade of Dahar. I think this item is interesting. So, they took away the invis from it, and now you're just invulnerable, but the enemy can still see you. But the biggest thing that sucks about this is you're invulnerable, you're kind of invisible, you're untargetable. But once you do any instance of damage, you become targeted. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Granted, it would be a little unfair if an assassin was intent straight fucking your face, but sometimes that's the price we gotta play for playing AD. Anyway. So Duskblade has been overshadowed by its purpler sibling, aka Youmuu's. Duskblade is meant to be more of a damage-heavy counterpart to Ghostblade in fights with enemies getting low, but it simply lacks the punch compared to the other options. So with these changes, we're buffing the passive amp, so it's more a viable option. I actually think it did lose a good bit of its damage too. We're also looking at if mythic passives are in a healthy place. But for now, we're staying with the small buff to Duskblade and a big nerf. Big nerf to go. Interesting. Wow. So what are they doing? How much is it going up by? It's going up to 20% of the target's missing health from 15. And then there's a maximum bonus health threshold from 20 to 30%. Wow. So you're doing more damage earlier if the target's missing more of their health. So slightly better, but honestly, whatever. Okay. Echoes of Helia. what do I think of this item? I don't really play support. Like I always complain, I'm an AD main. However, I do play ARAM now because ADC and Rift sucks. So I did end up using Echoes of Helia on, I believe it was Janna. I used Echoes of Helia on Janna, and I fully expected it to be like a worse off Moonstone Renewer, but it wasn't. So this is basically taking the place of Moonstone Renewer because Moonstone echoes what you. So for instance, Janna, unless you're ulting, is only gonna echo the shield. Echoes of Helia will do damage and heal them, and I didn't think it was as easy to proc as it was. All you have to do is auto the enemy and you get a charge. So it's basically like Spell Thieves, except it's healing and it's doing damage, which is insane. So granted, it does scale. It doesn't scale too crazy, but this item is, I think, pretty good. Although in ARAM when I played it, I didn't notice it. I still think it's pretty good. So, Echoes of Helia is too strong at healing, no way around it. Envision Echoes as an offensive enchanter item that excels in skirmishes. But right now it's just performing too well. You know what the main way they do that is? All they have to do is... I'm trying to think. I honestly think they should keep the healing and just reduce the damage, personally. But let's see. So it performs too well, especially when it comes to healing, which starts to get into Moonstone's niche. See, that's not true. Moonstone is not a healing item, it's an echoing item. So again, if you play Janna, you're never going to heal with Moonstone unless you ult, which is stupid. But we'll maybe focus on crafting it into a support damage item option. So they still do want it to do. So they're actually just hitting the heal and the damage per shard by 20. I can't believe I spent all this bullshit time on this. It's slightly worse, but it's still alright. Okay. Let's figure this out, because I feel like this is going to be a case of Riot says one thing, and then I think the reality is different, as I usually think in real life. So, despite popular opinion heading into this patch, it turns out Gale Force is indeed wrong. Which is weird, right? Because how is Gale Force strong when you don't build IE with it anymore? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, this is so fucking confusing. But anyway, let's keep reading. So, even with the opportunity cost of Infinity Edge and Avoid Quick Blaze, you know what this means? This means they need to buff IE. We're walking back some of the preemptive buffs that got into 13.10. And they're specifically targeting the stupid fucking dickhead brothers Yasuo and Yu. So, it's going from 250 crit chance to 200 in terms of active damage, and the maximum execution damage is going down. So you're not going to execute as hard, and you're not going to do as much damage in general if you're building crit, and you have to be building crit to really get a use out of this for damage. Anyway, interesting. I don't know what to say about the ADMs. I mean, Gale Force is still Gale Force. It's still good on the people who use it. It basically was barely even changed. It's pretty good. It's just the problem is AD as a whole sucks. So what are they doing to the Kraken Slayer? Oh, I just read some bullshit. Crit marksmen are dealing too much damage in long engagements. Bullshit. So we're switching Kraken Slayer to deal physical damage instead of magic. Oh, so that way they can itemize against it easy. Because champions all have more armor than MR. This necessitates increasing its numbers just to keep it power neutral. In addition, we're looking to buff Kraken Slayer slightly. So now it will deal more damage to... Why the fuck do we care if it deals more damage to minions? In all contexts, and typically deal more damage to champions after building some form of armor panel. Otherwise, the numbers should be pretty similar against most targets. Because more of its damage is coming from its base damage, low AD builds like Rage Blade or on-hit builds are even more buffed here? Oh my god. Okay, so, yeah, they're changing the damage to physical, and then they are giga buffing the... My god. And, bruh, all they did was give 5 AD to the AD ratio. That's so stupid. Oh, yeah, Kraken Slayer? I mean, they did buff it, but I don't know why they're so obsessed with like doing damage to minions. That's not the ADC's job. If anything, that's the fucking mid laner's job or Sivir. But yeah, Kraken Slayer seems slightly better, but slightly worse in terms of you can't itemize again. But they said it's a buff for Rage Blade, but, you know, historically Riot should not be. Build but not support, by the way. Alright, Moonstone Renewer. I think Moonstone Renewer is a joke compared to Helia's. Why the fuck would you get Moonstone when you can get Helia's? So they have to buff this thing. Moonstone is weaker compared to other support mimics. Oh wow, what a surprise. We want to bring it more in line to feel like a choice worth making. They're doubling up on the healing. Oh, and how are they doing that? So chain heal is going from 20 to 40, so another 5%. And same thing with single heal. Oh. Wait, I'm so confused by this. What? Chain heal, single heal, So the single heal is better and the chain healing is better. But what if you don't heal though? This is the whole issue I have with this stupid item. The whole issue with this item is if you're playing Janna, you're not healing, this buff is useless. Moonstone just sucks. Don't build this item. This thing just sucks. Just build Helia instead. Okay, Navori. I think Navori Quickblade is pretty good on the people who use it. I think personally it's above IE. I think IE, as we see, and I'll bring it up again, I think Infinity Edge is the worst option for ADCs right now, just judging off of, like, you know, actual statistics. So I don't know what to think about Navori. I mean, I always hated the item. I'm always a traditional sort of guy of ADCs do damage by autoing. That's it. That's that. I don't like all this, like, you know. Once Navori came out and you had to, like, choose between that and, like, IE, I didn't like that. I like this wiener I'm chomping on, though. But, let's see what they say. So they say it's fallen behind. Which, again, I don't know what reality Riot's living in, but not my reality. The item doesn't even need more ability haste than it already has, and overall the marksman class is about dealing extra damage in the first place, so we're shifting some of its ability haste into attack damage. Interesting. So they're giving it 5 AD and they're removing 5 ability. Honestly, that's fine. And then the Transcendence cooldown is going from 12 to 15. Okay, cool. And the passive is just giving you straight AD now. Wow. Fuck Navori. I hate Navori. Runons. This item, when I thought about it, I was like, this is fucking broken. The fact that Runons provides you with on hit and they increase the percentage of, like, the bolts in terms of what your damage is. I think Runan got gigabuffed and people don't know it, but Riot knows it, so they're nerfing it. And they're nerfing it by half. Which, again, it's better than what it used to be. It used to be 0. Something. But it's sad. It's sad that a lot of the ADC items are, like, getting kind of kicked in the... Okay. Static Shiv. Remember what I said before? Why the fuck are ADCs wave clearing? Why do they want to wave clear? That's not their job. This Static Shiv is Riot pushing their ideology onto us of, oh, ADs go clear the wave, I mean, you know, we like to farm, don't get me wrong, but, like, our job isn't to clear the fucking wave. So, this is in my video on YouTube again, where I complained about ADCs in, like, the mid-season patch and how it ruined everything. But essentially, to condense it, the old Static Shiv used to do what this one does, except it was better, for the pure fact that the lightning it had could crit. Instead of the lightning critting now from Static, first of all, Static back in the day was iconic with the sound and with the visuals. You noticed Static and you heard Static and you knew it was Static Shiv. Nowadays, the lightning is fucking wiener, so they did bad on that part, in my opinion. And then they took away the critting on champions where the lightning could crit and do a good amount of, like, multi-target damage, so now it's just being for wave clear for minion. It's like they totally bastardized the item and they, like, don't know what it's for and they don't want to bring it back in all of its former glory for some reason. So they're buffing it, obviously. Let's see what they're doing. Shiv launched a bit underpowered. Oh, that's that's an understatement. Its gold efficiency is in a reasonable spot, so we're amping up its more unique aspects. While we've seen some magic like Veigar, mages like Veigar try to set him out, which is stupid, it doesn't appear to be too powerful in their hands. Oh my god, even AP people are using static because the ADs don't want it. It's like they're trash. But anyway, Yeah, so damage to minions modifier, they're making it great. Like I said, I don't think the damage to minions is what's gonna sell this item for people, but that's just me. Storm Razor, so they buffed Storm Razor coming out the mid patch, and they're nerfing it 55 to 50. That is cool, and you know why? I think personally it's because of Jin Draven, but let's see what it says. It's overly gold efficient and contributing a bit too much to burst. We're aware that Kaisa currently relies on Storm Razor and Access Q evolution. I'll be looking at this facet of hers all near future. Oh no! So again, I don't know why they're gonna nerf Kaisa or keep an eye on her, because again, look at this list. Kaisa's number 19. That's not high. I believe it's a Riot to like not balance this game correctly. So anyway, Youmuu's, like they said, this thing's getting nerfed. We have to start moving quickly because I don't want to be here forever. The ability haste is going down from 20 to 15, and the bonus lethality is going down as well by a significant portion. And then the distance per stack is getting increased. Excuse me. That says it's overall a nerf. Yeah, 20% slower is a nerf. So, what do they say about Ghostblade? We want Ghostblade to be the ideal item for roaming around the map, which they tried to get rid of in mid, with a small bump in damage for one big initial burst. It's currently giving way too much damage way too often, really. So we're lowering the bonus lethality and slowing down how fast the stacks accumulate. It kind of sounds like they're gutting it, but it is what it is. And Youmuu's weak. Cool. Okay, finally. The final cockcoin, the final meat and potatoes. Why the fuck are they taking away Ivern's identity now? I already knew they were doing it in the bot lane. I want to see why they're doing it to the jungle. Oh, actually, you know why? This makes sense, because Ivern is a support for an ADC, right? Even though not directly, he's a support for the team, and the support is from bot lane, so if it's from bot lane, it has to get shit on by Riot. So, let's see what they're doing. Buff sharing has been pretty similar since the dawn of League. You get your first 2 or 3 buffs, but then your mid laner and ADC start thinking they deserve them. Can you believe it? The nerve of those laners. Yo, we're right, man. We do deserve it. Anyway, also jungler's fed, and we're not. In its current state, there's pressure for junglers to give up their buffs to laners at their own expense. See, this is where they kind of combat this in the past by having the little pets still give you gold. You got an assist on the buff, I think. I'm not too sure on that, though, but I believe that's what happened. Anyway. This also creates some social friction and coordination challenges. Our goal with the introduction of buff sharing is to reduce the feels bad moment when a jungler has to give up their buff. Yo, junglers are honestly one of the few shafted people. Like, really shafted people, because think about it. Something that's theirs, people come to them expecting it to, like, be given to them. Almost like they're a king. And then it affects the jungler's, like, build path. It affects their itemization choices, because then they don't make money. So, it has a big butterfly effect. Definitely something to think about. But anyway. Buff Wisps. When a jungler kills Red Brambleback or the Blue Sentinel, while their smite is fully upgraded, they will start receiving the camp's buff, but in addition, a Wisp will be dropped. Now I can pick it up and by walking within the space within a minute, before it disappears. You do not need to smite the camp at any time in order for the buff Wisp to drop. Smite must be fully up. Interesting. I wonder if Thresh can pick up these wisps with his tune. I'm assuming he can. Interesting. If a player that is not in the jungle kills the red Brambleback or the blue sentinel, but the enemy but the jungler smite is fully upgraded, then that buff wisp will still drop. Oh, okay. So yeah, it literally is Ivern passive. Because even with Ivern passive, if you stole a jungle camp from him, like a red or a blue, he would still get the red or the blue. Granted, he lost out on gold and XP, which is the bigger thing, but he's still getting gold. So, pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, it's literally just Ivern. Just making sure. They're still eating. If you take their buff, they're still eating. Good. Okay, and that seems to be all the major changes. So, ARAM adjustments. Bel'Veth. Okay. Bel'Veth, they increased their damage. If you're playing Bel'Veth on ARAM, I think there's something special with you. I'm not going to read the rest of them. No, they're nerfing Aesol. What the hell? I mean, damn. And then Clash Bandle Cup. You know, another thing Riot said that still hasn't come true, at least from my knowledge, is last year they did an ARAM Flash, which I actually really loved and really enjoyed. It was very chill. Excuse me. And I wish this year, they said they were going to do another one. I don't know if it was this year, like this ranked season, or like a previous one, like last year, but I remember they did do a ranked, or sorry, not a ranked, a Clash ARAM Cup, and they said they were going to do one again, and I don't think that that next time of again has ever come. So we're still waiting on that. Let's see if that's going to be like fill but not support. But another complaint I just have about Clash in general is they have a stupid like player finder in the client. That shit does not work. I really feel like that should. Anyway, yeah. So new Bandle City Cup, cool. And bug fixes, we don't care. So let's take a look at the new skins. Also, I'm trying to think. Is there any other things I'm forgetting with the buff sharing? I mean, overall, what does the buff sharing really do? It really just shows again that Riot is making casual friendly, right? Buff sharing, even though I think it was a little toxic and for the jungler, because again they're losing farm, they're losing their buff, right? Which after a certain point in the game they don't really need. It is actually way better on the mid lane or the ADC, but sometimes they would just take it even if they were feeding, not because they deserved it, just because it's the culture essentially, right? And the jungler, if already behind, doesn't want to give up their buff but would have to because again that's what's expected or else you get reported. So overall, this makes it so another aspect of, I don't know if I want to say skill expression, but another aspect of the game is basically being trivialized and then made super casual. We're like, oh, you get a buff, I get a buff. We both get stickers for trying. And it's like, what the fucking hell? But you know, this is just pushing the game to be more and more casual, which it is what it is. Anyway, let's look at the new skins. So let me bring their splash up right here. So who can I tell that's here? I see Shyvana. I see Ashe, I believe. I think I see Caitlyn. Kindred as well? Or is that Akali? I think that's Akali, actually. So Akali's on Shiv's shoulders. We have Caitlyn, Ashe. I think that's Yuumi. And then who's the guy? Oh, the guy on the way on the left is Aatrox. Honestly, these skins are fucking sick. This looks almost space themed, honestly. Holy shit. It's actually really good. And who are these for? This is for Aatrox. Okay, we got that right. Akali we got right. Ashe we got right. Caitlyn we got right. Kindred we got right. Oh, and Maokai? What? Oh, that little thing is his sapling. Oh, I thought like all of Maokai's body was Shyvana. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the sapling is really... Oh my god, Maokai looks weird though. Yeah, but these skins look fucking amazing. I haven't seen the effects, and we're not gonna go over that because again, I'm pushed on time. But overall, really amazing skins. I mean, kind of see their in games here. But yeah, from what I saw, the Prestige Aatrox skin looks fucking sick. Like the end game and the effects look. So overall, what do I think of this patch? I think this patch is fucking stupid. I don't think it addresses ADs in any meaningful way. I think they're just straight out wrong with a lot of the things they're saying. And again, you know, we have the stats to prove it. I have the fucking like numbers here, right? Look at all the crit ADCs, the ones that are getting quote unquote nerfed. They're some of the worst in the fucking game, which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm just so confused. They continue to shut down my favorite role. But let me see. Holistically, Rel's mid scope was really, really good. Akali's whatever, Mumu's whatever, Aphelios is ass, Aesol's sad, Azir's whatever. Ivern is interesting. Very interesting. Jinx is ass, Callista is pretty decent. Pretty decent considering. Rek'Sai's is stupid. Renekton's is I, TF's is alright, and that's basically it aside from the item. Overall, the only reason I will give this any sort of a good score aside from like a 1 or a 2 is purely because of the mid scopes. I think they really need to address AD, and like AD just feels us. Maybe and this is a very low percent chance. Maybe it's the case that like I'm not used to ADC yet, even though I've tested it a little bit. I think ADC, especially crit, feels like ass when you have to choose between IE. I think if they just change that one thing, make IE a legendary and not a mythic, everything will be okay. Honestly, it's so stupid. But yeah, overall, I guess the skins raise this patch up too. I'll put this patch to a 4 out of 10 Marc Merrills, but it could very easily get below that if like the patch didn't have saving graces. The saving graces are the skins and the Rel'S. So yeah, 4 out of 10 Marc Merrills. It looks like we're really heading towards the Dark Times League because I don't enjoy Rift anymore. My main role has been shitted on. The whole like bot lane itself has been shitted on in terms of what goes down there now. It's just all bad. But anyway, we'll see each other in 2 weeks again with new Shanghai scroll skins. I'll spoil the surprise here. Shanghai scroll skins. And the reason I'm spoiling the surprise is because on Twitter, I saw Lilia's getting a new skin, and Dumbs was all over that shit because he is the Lilia lover. But anyway, I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. If you want to catch me live, I stream every day at Twitch.tv/Tecnics channel, where I usually do these reactions live, patch notes. Come over and join thousands of other like-minded geniuses like yourself and experience it live in the flesh. You can ask me questions and I might answer them. The zoo animal. Anyway, hope everyone enjoyed 4 out of 10 Marc Merrills. See you in 2 weeks. Eee!